Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Hydra. Now, today is just going to be another quick video. We're going to look at the US dollar chart. As you can see, there's obviously some very clear lines that I've marked out here. These support and resistances with red and green lines and the white ones going down all the way. We'll get into that very quickly. I do want to prefix this video by saying I do hold Hydra, so I obviously hold some sort of a bias. I do think it will do well, or otherwise I wouldn't be holding it. However, I do think it has a lot of speed bumps ahead. And I mean, currently if we zoom in with Hydra and take a look at where we are very close to all-time low levels. And again, we did only put in those all-time lows during September of last year. So literally only a few months ago, Hydra put in its all-time low. And as we can see, we had a strong rally. We saw that in the whole of the crypto space. But Hydra, like many other altcoins now, have started to peel off. And we've seen that over a period of weeks. This is the weekly chart. So it has been poor price action for Hydra. We will address this in the video more in depth. I do also think with the macro surrounding the whole crypto space in general right now, Hydra is in trouble. Rate cuts in America are due to take place sometime this year at least, and possibly Q1, but unlikely, thinking March. Most likely Q2 or Q3 we'll see our first rate cut. And when we do often see that, we often see the markets perform poorly because basically a rate cut is indicating that the Fed thinks there is something wrong with the market. So they have to cut rates because the market can't hold it or it's showing signs of weakness. So they cut rates, and then investors think the Fed, who have all this data and have hundreds of employees, thousands of employees analyzing the economy and the stock market, think something is wrong enough that they need to cut rates, so the market naturally tends downwards. And this isn't unique to the market, it affects crypto as well. The other reason why I think we will probably see poorer price action and potentially revisit these lows, if not put in lower lows, is because of Hydra's performance these last 2 years. And we can see basically ever since mid 2021, Hydra has just performed very poorly. And again, this isn't unique to altcoins. A lot of altcoins peaked a lot earlier in 2021 compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which were towards the end of the year. But if we zoom in at the pattern that it's followed ever since basically mid 2021, we can see that Hydra has basically moved from a high and put in a low. It then rallies up from that low, but it never breaks above the high that it went in. And basically it's just been trending lower again, lower highs, lower lows. And now, while it's easy for me to just put up these lines and say, this is what Hydra has been doing, we have obviously seen some renewed interest in the market over the last few months with Hydra and a lot of other cryptocurrencies rallying, and Hydra did well. It almost did a 2x. And looking back at these times, we can't really see any good example of when Hydra moved like this, except for maybe this move here. And that is only because of the time frame that it moved for. Again, this is one of the longest moves up that Hydra's had since its peak, and it's also been one of the most extreme moves up Hydra has seen. And if we take a look back here at how far Hydra moved up from its low to its high, it basically went up about the same amount, 170%, give or take, before it again reached this high that is very hard to call before it happens, where that will be before it gets rejected again. But we do see a similar move here. In terms of time, this is obviously a much smaller time frame. It's about 6 weeks, and whereas here we rallied for quite a few months, basically until the end of last year, 11 weeks. So again, the glove doesn't fit perfectly, but it is the closest scenario we have. And if we take a look at what we saw during this time, we saw a very big sell-off. And again, if we go from this all-time high that we measured up to, we can see we dropped 74% before that. And it's not uncommon or unreasonable for us to expect a move like this because Hydra has done it so many times after these fairly weak rallies. In retrospect, like, it does often move down quite strongly. And we do see these smaller moves. Again, this was just pointing out that Hydra has continuously moved down from lower lows to lower highs. But every time Hydra does have a big sell-off, we do see it go down at least above 50%. And for the majority of the big ones, it's above 70%. And even our most recent sell-off from sort of the high here to the lowest point, it was just under 90% of a sell-off of an asset that had already dropped 70% twice, and then 40% and 50%. So to say that we can't see Hydra drop 70% from where we are is not impossible. And if we actually try and figure out where that is, it does put us just below our all-time low, basically, at about 27 cents American dollar. And again, with the headwinds that are facing Hydra down the road, I don't want to be a total bear, but I can't morally disregard this, trying to trick people or mislead people into thinking that the price could potentially rally. Now, Hydra is a low enough market cap altcoin that anything can happen really. If some reverse of a black swan or white swan event happens and the price rallies into the halving and continues to rally after the halving, I'll be very happy. But it's much easier with a lower cap like Hydra. Again, its market cap takes up like something of 0.31% of the total crypto market cap in the top 500, which is a drop in a bucket. Now, we do often see, on a more bullish note, most altcoins do rally after the halving, and they also rally on their Bitcoin pairs. Sadly, there is no Bitcoin pair on Hydra that has any reasonable amount of long-term data to use. So I'm not going to pull it up. There's just no point analyzing 3 months of data on a Bitcoin chart. But I can tell you it's traded downward on its Bitcoin pair just by looking at this. And again, if we take a look at how far Hydra has dropped from its all-time high to its all-time low, it's 99.4%, which is crazy. And we are currently sitting at a drop of 98.9%. So again, extremely low. I remember making videos at the time saying when Hydra drops below $1, that'll probably be a decent price to consider picking some up. And if you did follow that advice, you could potentially be in the money. You could be green currently. It is sort of now teetering back to this 50-cent mark. And if we zoom in and draw a few resistance lines, we will see that in terms of our next line of resistance, will probably be here where we put in this top, and now also this weekly open, give or take. You can maybe move it up a little bit. It doesn't matter too much. I will change this to red so we're more aware it's a resistance. And potentially our next support will be at this level. Again, this is on the weekly, and things don't have to open and close within these points. I'll actually move these to blue so they stand out more as more ranges than anything else. I do see Hydra coming down to here over the next few weeks at this 50-cent level, give or take 52. Again, the next drop after that will probably be about 48, 49 cents. Just something to keep aware of. Could potentially even be around the 45. Very hard to say. Again, it's such a low cap altcoin that it's impossible to call these things accurately because their volatility is much higher and their liquidity is much lower. And also their supply is much lower and their demand is much lower. There's a lot of different factors that play into it. If we're going to go and treat Hydra like a higher cap altcoin, we can expect a move to the upside sometime after the halving, followed by a pullback compared to Bitcoin. Like if you looked at our Avalanche and our Phantom videos, we talked about after the halving on the Bitcoin pair, altcoins do usually have a very strong rally within the first few weeks or months of the halving taking place on their Bitcoin pairs, followed by a sharp pullback on the Bitcoin pairs, often to a similar level they were before the rally. And then we see sort of the Bullrun take place where a lot of altcoins take back a lot of the value on altcoins. If we're going to consider Hydra in this equation as a extremely low cap altcoin, it will either vastly outperform a lot of the altcoins that are much higher market cap, or it will basically do nothing because nobody's paying attention to it. Now, the Hydra Telegram channel and stuff like this does seem very active to me, but having an active pool of people who are already holding your token and not buying it doesn't really translate to positive price action. It translates to a bag that will be sold once there is positive price action. I know Hydra has undergone some marketing campaigns as well where they've been advertising the Hydra chain, things like this, and they have lots of developments like Hydra coming out, the liquid staking, Hydra 2.0 and Hydragon, all these developments coming out. Again, to me, these could be very good in terms of price if and when they come out. And if they do come out, if it's in time with a bull run, there's a lot of hype building in the crypto space, and suddenly someone hears about this liquid staking protocol Hydra where there's huge gains, APY, that's what took it off last cycle. It was the 2020 DeFi liquid staking, sort of farm your way to the moon. Hydra was at the top there having something like a 60% APY, and that's what caused this huge buy up in Hydra, I'm pretty sure. And as times have got worse, Hydra's staking rewards have decreased quite drastically. I think there's something like 30% now if you're staking yourself, and even lower than that if you're staking on a centralized exchange. Again, there's a lot up in the air for Hydra, but just be aware that we still are in this downward trend. We still haven't broken out of this pattern that Hydra continuously has been following for over 2 years, with our only potential of breaking out of this being the halving, where if we put in a higher high, we could potentially see good price movement. Now, there is a case to be made that we could see a higher high out of this. Again, if we find support at one of these levels, we could see a very bullish move. In my opinion, I think the crypto space is in trouble currently. I think we've had a nice little bull rally that's made everyone feel good about their portfolios and see a bit of green for the first time in 2 years, and the spot Bitcoin ETF causing a lot of hype, all of this. I think now we're suddenly left thinking, what now? And with all these macroeconomic conditions, as well as Bitcoin conditions, like again, the halving is often a time of worry in the crypto space. Basis points are still higher than they've been for decades, with no sign of them coming down immediately, not within the next few months, potentially March, but unlikely, most people are saying, or the bonds market is anyway. And lots of other factors, like Benjamin Cowan did a great video today, which I recommend you check out, on stablecoin market cap dominance, where he often points out that when stable coins reach a low, the market often crashes soon afterwards. And we have seen that USDT and USDC combined have reached these lows currently. And what have we seen? The start of a sell-off. Now, it could be coincidental, it might not play out this time, but it very well could as well. I don't want to ramble for too long, so I think that wraps up the video. For me, to summarize bearish outlook on Hydra, where I think it could go, again, if we return to all-time highs, Hydra would make a huge amount of money. If you're buying at current prices and sell at the top, you're looking at a 73x, which is again huge money. Do I think Hydra will return to all-time highs? Me personally, no. But I would personally be pricing in a price somewhere above $20. But again, these coins that gain a lot of hype during their first bull run and decline so steeply like they have can often just die and fade into nothing. It's just something to be aware of, and while they can still perform well in bull runs, they never return to their former glory. And while I don't want to write Hydra off as one of these coins, because I'm invested, I want it to do well, I feel like it could potentially head that way. But again, if you are buying at current prices and you're expecting or setting sell-off limits at above $20, you are looking at somewhere around a 30x move. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Comment down below if you agree with me on my bearish outlook on Hydra. Will the halving change this current pattern? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. Take care and peace.